What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. You're probably thinking Luke has lost his mind. He does not have a coat on. What is going on? It's not even barely mid-February. And I know it's so beautiful out today. It's a little less beautiful than it was, but it's still really warm out for mid-February. So I'm just getting out here and enjoying it, embracing the beautiful weather. It's almost 41 degrees today. So I'm really excited. I know spring is a far ways away, but one can hope, and one can dream. So we're out here in the garden today to talk about an alternative seed starting method that a lot of you have messaged me about and a lot of you are interested in trying because it kind of goes against the status quo of starting your seeds indoors. Now, you know that I like to start my seeds indoors, and there's nothing wrong with starting your seeds indoors. That's my personal method that I use, and I definitely advocate that. However, it can be discouraging and kind of frustrating for those that don't either have the space, time, or resources to start their seeds indoors. So I want to be able to give you an alternative method that if you don't have the space, time, or resources, that you can still get your seeds started, but you might not have quite the head start that you'd have had you started them indoors. It's a little trade-off, but the trade-off is also that it's way easier. It's way more painless. So starting seeds indoors, you've really got to be monitoring, is the soil damp enough? Am I starting seeds too early? What's the ideal start time? What seeds should I be starting indoors versus just direct sowing right outside? There's a lot of question marks and kind of concern points for starting seeds indoors that don't exist with this other method because it's really, really simple. So yeah, there's trade-offs with everything, right? So it's all about that compromise and which one works best for you. So as we always do on this channel, just because we don't personally use this method, I will still advocate and talk about this method because I think you will enjoy it. And what is that other method we're talking about? Well, it's winter sowing. Winter sowing is the process of basically putting seeds directly outside into the garden and giving them basically everything that they're going to need to germinate before the conditions are ready for them to germinate. And what they do is they essentially just sit idle, they sit dormant until the conditions are met. And you can imagine those conditions as like little check boxes, right? So like nighttime temperatures above 35 degrees, okay, check, right? Daytime temperatures above, maybe above 45 degrees, okay, check. It might be, it could be a bunch of different things, right? Like soil moisture, right? Is there soil moisture? Check. And if all these boxes are checked, well then the seed can basically start the germination process. It's like a startup sequence, right? What's really nice is that you can set these seeds in the ground with the conditions that they need to germinate before they're ready to germinate. And then when those conditions are met, they'll germinate at their will. And what's really nice is you can pretty much just take your hands off and let them go, which is awesome. So that's what we're going to talk about. Like I said, this is just an alternative method to seed starting. It is really nice. It's very convenient. And it, like I said, it's something that I've used in the past and it definitely really works. So I just wanted to talk about it. So coming in close, I'm going to show you kind of the general idea. And then I'll show you kind of my take on it, my preferred way to do winter sowing. Everyone has a different method, as you guys have kind of learned hopefully by now, is that everybody has a different method to doing gardening, right? And if you ask 12 people how to garden, you're going to get 13 different answers. I'm going to show you my way of winter sowing, the way that I really like, and I think you'll like it too. All right, come on, let's go. All right, so the first idea behind winter sowing is kind of the setup. What is the setup for winter sowing? A lot of people know winter sowing by the milk jug method. And basically the milk jug method is you take a milk jug, you basically cut it in half, and then you fill the bottom half with soil, you drill some holes in the bottom for drainage, and then you plant your seeds in the pre-moistened soil, and then you put the top of the top half of the milk jug back on, you tape it up, and then you just set it outside and wait for the seeds to germinate. When the sun comes out and warms up the soil, it acts as like a little mini greenhouse so that the seeds can germinate a little bit faster. And then once the seeds do germinate, you take them out and you scoop them out with a spoon and then you plant them in your garden. Now, there's a few issues that I have with this. Again, not that it doesn't work. There's lots of people that have good success with it. It's just that, in my opinion, there's a lot of ways that you can damage the plant roots and actually cause a lot of undue stress to your plants that isn't really needed. And so it is a way to be very frugal. You're reusing and recycling. So if you're someone that doesn't want to spend any money at all, it's definitely going to be great. However, I like to spend just a tiny bit of money to make my life a whole lot easier. And so I go to the dollar store and we use these little clear bins. You guys probably saw these on our seed tour live stream. We use these for like storing our seeds in and stuff, but these suckers are super, super cheap. We get a pack of 3 of them for $1, so they're like 33 cents a piece at our local dollar store. And basically what we do is we use these as our milk jug, but these are the top of the milk jug. The bottom of the milk jug, you don't really need to put seeds in something, right? Because you have your garden. And so the thing that I've always kind of questioned or wondered is, why can't you just start them directly in the soil if they're going to go in the soil anyways, and they're outside? So like, what would be the big issue with just starting them in the soil? And I asked a lot of people this because before I used the method of winter sowing, people were talking about it, and it's really important to ask those questions, because that's how you actually get an answer that is, you know, reasonable. That's how you learn, right? Is by asking those questions. And the people looked at me and they said, well, I don't know, that's just the way I always was told to do it. And I was like, okay, all right, there's the first thing that you had. That's your first like red flag that like a method can be adapted on, is if someone else can't really give you why that reason is like the reason, it can be adapted on. And so so what I started doing was just taking some potting mix, and I just throw my potting mix down right on top of the soil, right on top of the snow and everything. Put down a layer of that. And then what I'll do is I will pre-moisten this, right? I'm gonna put some water on here. I'm gonna pre-moisten my soil just like I would if I put them in a milk jug. And then I'm going to take my seeds. And what's really nice about this, as you'll see, is I'll take my seeds and I will space them exactly as far apart as I would want them to be when they sprout, so that I don't have to do much thinning at all. And yes, use this as a template so that way you know where to put your seeds. Press down, there we go. There's your template, right? So in fact, you can't really see what I'm doing. Coming in close, don't be shy, let's go. All right, whole lot better. You can actually see what I'm talking about. So you can actually see the little outline from the container that I pushed down here. So now I have kind of the boundaries for where I could put my seeds. So I'm just gonna come in here and I'm going to put my seeds where I want them to be, right? So you're starting your seeds with the right type of spacing so that you don't have to do a bunch of thinning. And why I like this method is because traditionally with winter sowing, you'd put a bunch of seeds into a milk jug and they're all gonna germinate, and then you're gonna scoop them out with a spoon. Well, how many are you gonna kill in the process? You know, how much extra time is that gonna take in the process? So what I like to do is just, you know, do what I just did here. And then you're gonna take some soil, and you're gonna sprinkle some more soil on top, cover them up. And again, you're gonna pre-moisten this. I don't have any water with me right now, but I will come back and do this. And then you simply put your lid there, and this acts as your greenhouse. This allows you to actually trap the sun's energy to warm this up. This acts like the top of the milk jug. So you're gonna put something on top of this like a brick so it doesn't blow away. And it is easy peasy, it's done. I don't understand why you need to overcomplicate this anymore. And the nice thing is you can do this as many times as you want, right? You got all these, and they're reusable. They are, you know, something that you're gonna reuse. So just because you're recycling, yes, recycling is a great way to prevent waste, but buying something once and using it 6 or 7 years is also just, I think, in my opinion, just as good. So that is my method of winter sowing. It's super, super simple. You can basically do this with any method or with any seed you want. You can do this with tomatoes, peppers, kale, lettuce, radishes, carrots, doesn't matter. It is super, super easy to use. So there's my version of winter sowing. I hope you guys found it easy and convenient. If you did, make sure to throw a like up there, help spread this video around, and give it a shot, especially if you don't want to start your seeds indoors or you can't. This is another just really simple alternative to getting your seeds started. So I hope you give it a shot. The final question I do get asked is, when is the best time to winter sow? I asked the community this because I didn't really know the answer, and I got the best time to start your seeds for winter sowing is in late December to early January. And I said, well, why? You know, it's important to ask why, especially if you don't know, because I never take what people say just at face value, because that was the general consensus. And I asked, well, why? And the general consensus said, because that's what we've been told. And I thought, okay, the answer is the answer because it's the answer. And that's not the correct answer for me. That's not actually the way we learn. And so I started doing some more digging and some more research. And what I really found is that the reason why that is the answer is because that is when people are generally most bored and have the most spring fever. It has no bearing on the ideal time to actually winter sow. You can winter sow anytime as long as the conditions are below what they would be to sprout. So if you start them in January, February, March, or even early April, as long as your daytime temperatures are below freezing, your nighttime temperatures are below freezing, you keep your soil damp so that when the temperatures do, come above that ideal temperature or that ideal range of temperatures, depending on the seeds you're sprouting, the conditions can be met and then they germinate. So you don't have to do it at a specific time. There's no, oh, I'm late to winter sowing. You can just start your seeds, but it is a very convenient and easy way to winter sow. There is absolutely no harm in doing it right now, even if it's mid-February, or even if you see this video and it's mid-March, you can still do it. So I'd recommend getting on it and getting your seeds winter sown, but don't worry, it's not something that you have to rush around for like you do indoors. There's no timetable. As long as the conditions are, as long as the conditions are still winter conditions, you're totally fine. So give it a shot. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home, and we'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.